Oh, hello, yeah. Well, as Margaret Thatcher might have said, just rejoice at that, yes. Oh, Kent County Council, Reform Flagship, managed to have a meeting yesterday, and, well, as far as I can make out from the meeting, nobody else was kicked out or resigned, which is really good, yes, because I have had a few problems, yes. Losing 15% of their councillors since they were elected in. Still, never mind. I'm sure Nigel will say that those people weren't properly vetted. I'm sure all that positive vetting is happening now. Because there sure as hell seem to be a few problems with the people that presumably weren't positively vetted, yes. So, no more, well, I don't know, anti-Semitism out of Brighton. Maybe, we'll see. But the thing about this, of course, is that it does all appear to be that these brilliant business people, yeah, like Richard Tice, a businessman, yeah, all these brilliant business people who definitely can do anything that they want because everyone else is a moron, it's really finding now that it's just a little bit more tricky, and therefore Reform are subtly changing their viewpoint on exactly what they might do. Vis-a-vis cuts, there won't be any. Well, there will be some, of course, because they have to cut things, because they have to keep within their budgets, but they will put up council tax by the usual 5%, maybe even more. They are suggesting to some of their constituents they might put it up by 10%. Not really what people voted for. Still, their Doge unit, you might say, will sort it all out, except, well, we're not going to hear anything more about their Doge unit because they've now decided, well, that isn't going to quite work. A bit like, Elon Musk's Doge unit. You may recall that he was going to cut out all that wasteful spending and all that fraud, and what we discovered was that there was no fraud, and the wasteful spending was actually things that were keeping people alive, but not the right sort of people, so that was okay. They can just die. Think about the money we're saving, yeah. So, yeah, Reform's new big plan is to, hire management consultants to tell them where they might cut things. Well, I don't know. Why not just not hire management consultants and just cut things anyway? Because basically that's what councils up and down the land do anyway. There isn't a magical formula. If you have a meal that is going to cost you £10 to buy and you go to the shops with £5, you're not going to make that meal. There is a certain level of economics at which you just can't beat it. It's a bit like, having a full suitcase and thinking, well, if I take everything out of the suitcase and put it back in a different way, I may make more room. It's unlikely because, of course, you're dealing with a unit of measurement, and if you have X amount of stuff to put in Y suitcase, there's a good chance that it's too much. Sorry, but them's the law. But these people do love to think that somehow they can just do things because they are brilliant. A bit like Richard Tice, businessman, yeah. I mean, I'm constantly told as a teacher that I'm just really, really bad at my job and anyone can do it. But it's very odd because, nobody does, do they? Yeah. Yeah, just because you've been to school back in 1957 doesn't mean you can do my job. It's not the way it works. And, just because you earnestly believe that there's loads and loads of wasteful spending at county councils, well, maybe if you turn up at the county council and you find that's not true, you should do things differently, which some, I would guess, would argue that that's what Reform's doing. But I think they should have started from that point to begin with. The contradictions here are absolutely enormous. I mean, we do have the whole 19-year-old in charge of things who, once again, as I pointed out yesterday, is somebody that's going to need to be supported by somebody on a bigger salary than him to support him. So not really much of a saving in terms of young people and minimum wage there. Anyway, they're all paid too much and they can't do any work. That's a report in the Telegraph yesterday. But on a broader level, yeah, the national newspapers, the national media, and of course GB News and Talk TV aren't going to mention this stuff, yeah? The Guardian yesterday was actually reporting on this stuff. The other newspapers just aren't going to touch it with a barge pole. What they're worried about is that their boys, the tax-cutting boys, because we've got to have tax cuts, haven't we? We can't stimulate the economy without making people poorer. Apparently, that's the economics now. Yeah, got to have our tax cuts. They have to come in, and right now, they have to be done by Reform. That's the law. But, the longer Reform go on, I've said this many times, the longer it goes on, the more people will see what a bunch of absolutely useless, incompetent charlatans they are. But that's what you get with people that are extremely right-wing. It's always ideology above everything else, yeah? They might well be crypto, they might well be neo, but underneath, the underlying philosophy is just as dodgy as it always has been. But, of course, it is even more reinforced with these people because they're all the public school types that earnestly cannot live in a universe where they might be wrong about something. Yes, dreadful, dreadful, dreadful. Meanwhile, us minions, us little guys at the bottom, we can just get on with it. Yeah, that's our lot in life, isn't it? Just pay more. Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Reeves. Can I have some more? Oh, fun and games there'll be. I wonder what they'll do when we get really cross with them. What about if we don't actually vote the right way for these people? By God, they'll be hell to pay, won't they? Yeah, they'll want to take it away from us. It's the only sensible way of doing it. Let's face it, you can't trust people to vote the right way, can you? You can't trust, as Reform would put it, the overwhelming majority of people in the UK that know what's going on to actually have a voice. That would be awful, wouldn't it? Anyway, do have a lovely, lovely endy weekend type thing. Enjoy.